A prop firm is a company that you can give a small amount of money to, and they let you trade with much larger sum money, usually after you pass some sort of challenge. This challenge is usually gaining around 10 to 15%, and then they'll give you much more money to trade with, hopefully being able to maximize your returns if you are a trader who maybe doesn't have a lot of capital but are still very skilled. Now these are the main criteria for which I will be grading the different prop firms on, is how true to that model are they staying. So if they'll lose points for things like if they're scammy, if they have really high percentages to pass, if they don't let you trade with very many lots, if their profit share isn't very good, or if there's other weird things on their website, they'll lose points for those things. If they're a perfect one, they'll have everything, they'll have the best tools and features, and that will be the number one. So again, in this video, we're going to go over the 7 worst on my list. Again, everything is my opinion, so feel free to have your own, and let's go ahead and get started. First company on the list, and again, this one's pretty average as far as prop firms are concerned, is going to be BluFX. Now, BluFX, it's really far from the very worst one. Again, it's really not so bad. So if you have this one, it's really not a huge deal. I just wouldn't recommend necessarily creating an account with them if you don't already have one. Now, the main best things about this prop firm are they have a nice and clean website. They have fast account growth up to $1 million. They have no daily loss limit, and it's really cheap. Some cons for this is that their light version is absolutely abysmal. There's a lot of drawbacks to having the cheaper light version than just having less money to manage. It's actually going to be harder to pass the challenge than with the more expensive option. You are limited to only MetaTrader 4. You also have limited trading hours, at least with the cheaper one with the light version. It only has 29 trading instruments, which is very limiting. Their top funded option ratio is going to be $310, their most expensive package, which again is still pretty cheap. But you're only going to be able to trade 1.5 lots with that, and you're going to get a 50% profit split. So that's not very good. That's not very much better than trading your own money, which is why I can't really recommend this broker for people that don't already have them and use them. The worst thing to be concerned about with this one is they have a very high chance that they won't have everything that you want to trade. So if you want to trade any sort of exotics, indices, you're not going to be able to do that with this one. So you should probably look for one in the other video coming soon. Number 6 on the list is the prop trading. Now this one has a couple pros. It's very cheap to get your account reset. So if you do make some mistakes and you need to retry, it's very easy to do so. They have a one-step evaluation process, and you only need to gain 9%, which is very generous. It's pretty easy to get just 9%. You also can get your fee reimbursed, which is really cool. Not every prop firm does that, but a lot of them do, and this one is one of those ones that do, which is great. Some cons are they sometimes have a really slow website. It's pretty inconsistent, hit or miss, whether it'll even load in time or not. It kind of looks like a dial-up speed sometimes. Again, that's just my experience. Your experience might differ. You must choose Forex or indices with this one. You can't choose both. So you can either choose Forex or indices with this one, which is cool that you can do either one. A lot of people do stick to one anyway, so it's not a huge con for some people, but I like to trade a little bit of both. I like to trade gold, I like to trade a little bit of Forex, and I like to trade mostly indices. So I'd probably go with the indices if I had to pick between the two, but I wish I could have both. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, why not? The true price is confusing if you actually click to buy one. Now, it'll say a specific price on there, but if you actually click on purchase, it'll change. So the original amount is actually different than the monthly price. So it shows the monthly price, but the total amount is actually not seen until you actually click checkout, which is a con for me. Just a little sketchy to hide that kind of information. The best value option isn't the most expensive option. This could also be a pro. You don't get as good of a deal if you pay more, which is why I consider this a con. They also have high monthly fees. So the top funded option ratio is going to be $658 US. You're only going to get to trade 5 lots with that, and you get an 80% profit split. Some things to consider is they have a confusing website with contradicting information. That was mainly with the lot sizes. The lot sizes were a little confusing. You might be able to get away with more than 5 lot sizes. On some part of the website, it said you can, and other ones it said you're limited to only 5 lots. So it's really confusing, but hopefully you can understand better than I could for that one. Also, they have extremely small total loss limits, which is really strange. That's never a good thing. You don't want that. Not enough consistent info for a full review on the lot sizes, again, like I said, which is just not a good thing. Number 5 is going to be Earn to Trade. Now, Earn to Trade is very cheap. It has a Ninja Trader. It has a very cheap option, even cheaper than the cheap option, which is going to be called the Gauntlet Mini. And it also has a very easy profit target of only 6%. That's one of the, I think that's the easiest one in all of these, which is pretty cool. There might be one that's a little better than that one. Some cons are Ninja Trader is really hard to set up. So if you're not technically savvy, you don't want to do this one. You definitely have to be just medium technically savvy. It's not super difficult, but it's much harder to set up than, say, MetaTrader 4 or CTrader. The Gauntlet Mini can only be traded during certain times. It's a good idea to avoid that option entirely because you might just make a small mistake, and you'll lose whatever small amount of money you put in. So if you can't afford the more expensive option and you really want to go with this company, I would really recommend just saving up until you can afford the full version rather than going with the mini version. But also, they have a really bad total maximum leverage, which just isn't great. And has a really dumb consistency rule that won't allow for a lot of trading styles. So again, that's really if you trade small lots, then trade a bunch of big lots, and then go back to small lots, it'll flag you, and then you won't pass. And then it's basically like a discretionary thing. It does have exact technical rules, so it's not really discretionary, but it's a little bit objective of a rule in my opinion, or subjective of a rule. Just because it's so strange to really care about that kind of thing. I think what matters most is just how much drawdown did you use and how much did you gain. Those are the most 2 important things. And with how many lots, I guess, is also really important. So anyways, the top funded option is only $350, and you're gonna get 15 lots for that, an 80% profit split. The main 3 things to be concerned about with this one is they have an unscheduled absence of 5 consecutive trading days will result in account termination. So if you forget just for 5 trading days for a week, if you just take a 1 week break, too bad, you are out. You have to do a whole thing all over again. Don't like to see that, of course. I think we should be a little more lenient than just 5 days in a row. Trailing drawdown from max highs. That's going to be a really bad one too. So what that means is if you make a whole bunch of money, well, now your max limit comes up with it. Your max limit before you lose. Whereas with other firms such as FTMO and a couple other ones that I don't want to get too much into yet that are going to be in the next video, a lot of other ones, you'll have a starting loss limit just whenever you start or reset on a monthly basis. And if you make a bunch of money, that amount stays there. While in this one, it is not. If you make, let's say, $20,000, you can still only lose $4,000 from that $20,000 gain before you're out. Whereas in a lot of other ones, you'd still have maybe like a $30,000, that'd be 20 plus 30, plus 10, would equal 30,000, would be more typical of $100,000 accounts with other prop firms. Also, they have trading style limitations, so if you don't trade exactly how they say, if you're not extremely consistent, then I would not recommend this one to anyone. So if you are, then maybe you could get away with this one, but it's not my personal favorite. Let's go ahead and move on. Now we have funding talent and Forex tips 101. It's interesting that the company has so many different names, first of all. Kind of a weird point just on that. Won't cover that in the cons list, but just kind of interesting. So this is the number 4th worst one in my opinion. Some pros behind it is it has no challenge, no profit target, bi-weekly payouts, small discount if you break a rule, and you can hold over the weekend. That sounds fantastic, but wait, there's a huge cons list too. So you have to trade at least 2 or 3 days every single week. Every single week. So if it's already been 3 days into the trading week, again, maybe, I don't know if you can trade over the weekends or not, but I don't think you can. So if it's already been 3 days, if it's already Wednesday, you can't even survive anymore. You're going to lose the account very, very shortly after that. So make sure if you are doing this one, you got to keep trading pretty much every single day, which is really annoying. I don't like to be forced to trade ever. That's not my cup of tea. And they also don't want to see you having really small lot sizes as well with this one, just like the previously talked about one as well. Another rule they have that's really silly in my opinion is you can't have EAs or bots. You cannot use any EAs with this one. They said they just don't allow EAs for some reason. A lot of EAs are just so small that some of them are just there to protect you from losses. They say no, you cannot have any EAs or bots with this prop firm. It actually does kind of have a challenge. As a con, it kind of has a challenge. You have to get 15% gain, but they hide this fact. So you actually kind of do have to get 15% gain. Yes, you can make some money right away, but not very much. It's very, very much smaller than after you get the 15%. Once you get 15%, then you actually get the true 90% of your profits after that. I'll cover that in just a second. But before that, you actually don't. So that part, they just hide that information, that there really is a challenge you just get kind of paid for while taking the challenge. It's kind of sketchy. I don't like that. They have extremely strict consistency rule, like I just said. Again, if you trade on average 1 lot and then you accidentally type in 0.01 or something too small of a risk, then they'll flag you and you lose the challenge. Same thing if you go too high, even if that's within the limitations that they give you, which is just ridiculous in my opinion. Their trading behavior rule, which is just for the cheaper account, makes it totally not worth it for the cheaper one. Just like the mini gauntlet with the last one, you don't want to use the cheaper option because not only is it you're not going to have as much AUM to control, but it's actually going to be harder to pass the challenge. They have extra rules for the cheaper ones, which is kind of just keeping people without money down and keeping people with money, which is never a good thing. That's not something we want. It's kind of the opposite of Robin Hood in a sense. Let's go ahead and continue. They have several sketchy brokers, such as KOT Forex and Hugo's Way, which I'm not a huge fan of either one of those. I have accounts with both, and I'm not a fan. Brokers have instruments which you're not allowed to trade. You'll lose if you accidentally trade them. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Don't trade anything that they say you can't trade, even though you have the option to. If you do, you just lose. It's really weird they would even have the option to trade them if you can't. Kind of interesting. Their top funded option ratio is going to be $650. You can trade up to 100 lots, which is a really good amount. I'm super happy to see that they are doing that. That's kind of a pro that I didn't quite cover yet. That they have a maximum 100 lots. That's super cool that they let you do that. That's equivalent with the best on even the other list that I'm going to make in the next video. And they do have that 90% profit split, again, after you get the 15, not before, after percent gain. Some main things to be concerned about is they have lots of bad reviews, so definitely check out those for more information if you are considering this broker. They have weird rules, and then they're also not forgiving you if you don't follow said weird rules, which is really strange. But just again, if you do want to trade this broker or any other broker in this list or in the next list, please check out VBS Academy. We're going to help you. We're going to be the very best company to be able to help you pass these challenges and actually become a better trader in the process as well. So definitely check out those links. The prices are going up soon on VBS Academy, so don't miss out on this opportunity. Let's go ahead and continue. This is number 3. Now this one I have history with, very negative history that is. This is number 3. This is Fidelcrest, Fidelcrest. They have a couple pros. This one, they have a high, in parentheses, fake, total AUM option. They have up to $400,000, which sounds fantastic, by the way, but it's not real. I'll explain more about that in just a second. They have only one-step evaluation process, which is also not true, but they say that on the website, so I included it anyways. They do have C-Trader, and they do have great broker options. Those are 2 things that they actually do have, and those are super cool. Really glad to see that they at least have those things. They have both IC Markets and C-Trader, which are the best broker and platform. Super cool there. Some cons this one is they have fake purchase orders that seem a lot like people are trying to take the challenge. So it'll just pop up in the left side of their screen, and it'll say, blah, 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 has just purchased this, blah, blah, has just purchased this. But even if you turn off your internet, it'll still keep on going. That's because it's obviously not real. I just don't like to see lie, fakey stuff like that. It's definitely a con in my opinion. Just not good at all. Another con is it's really expensive of a prop firm. Their margin use rule is the worst part about this prop firm, though. This is the thing to really consider about. It's worse than the price. It's by far the worst part about Fidelcrest, and that is their margin use rule. So they have either 2 different options depending on which of the 3 steps you're in. By the way, it's not just one step, it's actually 3 steps, but they say one anyways. So they either have 10 or 20% maximum margin use. If you're not familiar with margin use, what that means is basically I give you a $100,000 account and you have 1 to 100 leverage to use. But now that I add this rule on, you actually, if you actually use that 1 to 100 leverage that I gave you to use, you can't actually, it will actually just fail you anyways, even if you're successful with it. And that's what they're doing here, and that's actually what happened to me. So what ended up happening is I went a little bit over, I don't remember the exact amount, but if you went even just 11% on the 10 or 21% of the margin use, which means that you use 22 times account size or 11 times account size, then it doesn't warn you. It doesn't say, hey, are you sure you want to do that? It doesn't say anything like that. It just automatically will you are no longer eligible to complete this and you now fail. That is horrible. That's verging on a scam for people that don't know what margin use is, especially. So if you don't know what margin use is, definitely cannot recommend this prop firm whatsoever. If you are comfortable with that and you still want to do it, I'm not trying to dissuade you from using this one. I'm just trying to show you what the facts and my opinions are on this particular prop firm. Let's continue. They have a required stop loss in every trade, which I usually use stop loss. Every now and then I'll do like a super small lot, so there's no big deal not to have a stop loss, and I'll just be watching it. But on this particular one, you must use a stop loss, which is kind of a weird rule just to have. I think if you use the daily drawdown limit should be enough, but according to them, you must use a stop loss. If you don't, again, you just lose the challenge right away. They have a minimum position duration. That's only 10 seconds, it's not so bad, but if you only hold your position for 9 seconds or whatever, or less, let's say that you accidentally pressed a trade, right? If you held it for 9 seconds and you're like, oh no, I want to get out of this trade, there's an accident, I typed in something wrong. You're using a stop loss and everything, but you just typed in wrong. The lot size or whatever is the issue. Too bad, you have to hold for at least 10 seconds. If you exit earlier than that, again, it won't warn you, you just fail. Which again it's edging on that. If you don't read the rules, if you don't understand this, because these are really weird rules, then it's just you're gonna fail, and then it's basically just a scam at that point. They're also lying about their max leverage, like I already covered with the margin use. You effectively only have 1 to 10 leverage or 1 to 20 leverage, and not 1 to 100 like they say. So the top funded option, it is the $1,800 option. They have 40 lots. As a maximum that you can use. Do not use more. And actually, it's actually less on certain things. You kind of have to calculate what is really what that really is on going back to your currency. So that would be ones that end in US dollars, basically. Like EU, for example, you could do 40 lots maximum. But for other ones, you might not be able to. So, and again, it's 90% profit split. So that 90% is really good as well. If you are able to do this one, then you do get to keep a lot of the profit split. Some things to be concerned about. The company is clearly meant to scam people that don't know about margin use. And that's, again, that's just my opinion. That's not a fact, it's just my opinion. It's just really, really shady when they do stuff like that. I just really don't like it. I've been personally affected by this. It's hard to find all the trading options, not so bad. If you have a very small accident that breaks any rule, such as holding a trade for 9 seconds or using 11% of your margin, you lose everything and you do not get your money back. I've used them and can confirm that the program is made to be not good. Basically, it's just, I can't really put it into words exactly how I feel this, but just because they personally wronged me, I definitely do have some sort of negative bias towards this company. I just want to be completely transparent and honest on that particular one. So the next one, number 2, is going to be Fundisus. I think that's how I'm pronouncing it. I might be pronouncing that wrong. I'm not quite sure. Anyways, the pros are you can take a break and rejoin later. That's pretty cool. That you don't have to do everything all at once. If you want to start now, but then you have like a trip coming up or whatever, you just don't want to be trading for a little while, you're going to school maybe, then this might be a good one for you because you can do that. You can take a break and then you come back, you're still funded later, which is pretty cool. I like that feature. I don't actually know any other one that does that, where it's really just take a break for as long as you want, kind of thing. You can double your account per 10% up to $1 million. So every 10% gain that you make, you'll just double your account up to $1 million. I think it's even more for the first one. Not quite sure about that. But it only takes 5% gain for the first double, 35% gain to get to $1 million. So if you can make 35% gain within their rules, then you're able to trade $1 million account. Also, there's no time frame to hit the original 5% gain, which is pretty cool. Now here's where the cons come in. Here's why I have it as the number 2 worst prop firm in my opinion, that you must pay extra to hold any position overnight and use EAs as well. If you want to use EAs or you want to hold positions overnight, you must pay extra. That's not included. Only has majors and minors and gold. Those are the only things you can trade. There's nothing else. Can't trade indices, can't trade pretty much anything, any other thing though than majors and minors. You can only trade, only have $50,000 account starting size. That's the only option they have, which is small, especially for how much it costs. Just wait for that. Only get to scale account if you don't withdraw. Now that's pretty different from a lot of other ones. Fivers and a lot of other five percenters and a lot of other ones, they'll let you scale up your account, but you get paid along the way. This one, you do not get paid along the way. You just get the one, you choose either take a profit split or grow the account by double. And you can't do both. And if you grow by double and then you lose it, you still lose all the money, which really sucks. So everything is also based on subscription cycles. You only get, also everything is made to withdraw in 5% gain blocks. What that means is if you make only 4%, you get nothing. If you get 9%, you only get the profit split based off of 5%, meaning half, it's going to be half of 5%, even though you made 9. Even if you made 9.9, it always rounds down out of the trader's favor into the prop firm's favor for the last 5% check mark that you hit. So that's obviously not good, especially if you do make 9.9% gains. That's going to really suck that you only get 5% basically. So everything's based on the subscription cycles, and it costs $600 every single month. You only get to trade with 5 lots starting. It does increase if you decide to double your account, and you get a 50% profit split whenever you decide to take those. Some things to be concerned about is you only get to scale your account if you don't withdraw the money and still want to maintain the percentage gain, like I already said, and also the next one as well. The $600 fee, is recurring every single month. All right, we've made it to the number one prop firm that I can least recommend to you guys, and this one is going to be Clickfunders. And you'll see why once I get to the con list. Let's go ahead and start off with the pros though. The easy challenge is a really easy challenge, actually. You only have to gain 5% to start getting paid, which is pretty cool. I like that about it. That's the best thing about the entire prop firm. They have no maximum daily drawdown, which is actually going to be a little confusing in just a second, but I'll touch on that in just a second. So that's actually it. That's actually it for the pro list. That's all the pros that I could find for this prop firm. Here's the con list. You need to make 10% minimum to actually get a payout. Now, once you get 5%, you can start earning to get the 10%, but you have to gain at least 10% to gain a payout. So you don't actually, even if you get like 4%, if you get like 9.9%, if you gain 9.9% on the account, you still gain $0. You got to get at least 10, and then you get that 5%, then you get half of it. Anyways, you can, they have this really strange rule, 3 times the daily margin for overnight trading rule. That's what they call it. I'll cover that more in a second. You must be flat before news events, and you are responsible for tracking them. So good luck having any positions while you're sleeping, not just the overnight, the new change. So if you're in a part of the world where that overnight part is like during the middle of your day, such as in the US, usually that's pretty easy for me to avoid an overnight trade, but it is something I do sleep, of course, and while I'm sleeping, I'm not able to monitor the market. And basically, if there was a news event and my take profit or my entry got hit, and then I entered while I was sleeping, and then there was a news event I didn't know about because I was sleeping. I won't be able to get out or anything. It doesn't get out automatically for you, and then you're still in during the news event. Let's say it goes even in your favor. Too bad, you're out. That's it. And this is gonna be really bad once you learn how much this costs. So it's extremely expensive. That's the next thing. You must get a special account if you want to trade overnight, over the new day, and you must trade extremely small lot sizes if you do. So they have very, very small daily loss limit as well. And here's the top funded option ratio. It costs $5,830 for their top one. And you're probably thinking like, well, if you're paying that much money, you must get this giant account. You can trade a maximum of 34 lots with that account size. However, it gets worse. If you get that special account to hold overnight because you maybe you're a longer term trader or something, yeah, I think you still can't hold over the weekends if I remember correctly. I'm not sure about that part. I need to relook at it. I think you can't though. It's going to cost you. You can only use on this merit. Keep in mind the cost. More than $5,000 US for this account. You can only use 1.13 overnight lots from what I read on their website. Now again, I haven't actually used this one, but this is what I read on the website, and you get an 80% split. And that's really bad in my opinion, to only be able to trade that much with a $5,000 account. I would be comfortable trading much more lots than that on my own account if I had a $5,000 trading account. I do, but I do feel confident enough to trade sometimes, depending on how big the stop loss is, more than 1.13 lots on just a $5,000 account. So it's kind of interesting that you're probably going to be more restricted by using this one if you are an overnight holder especially. More things to be concerned about this prop firm. You only rent the account for 90 days with that above price that I mentioned. Meaning that even if you do super, super well, you're fantastic, you're killing it, and you're doing super, super well, you're actually able to make a bunch of money with this one, you're able to make more than your $5,000 that you spent on this, and 90 days have passed, you get to pay for it again if you want to keep using it. You don't get to keep on going. You only rent the account for the amount of time that you pay for it. And that's if you're doing good or bad. So again, that's just really, really not a good thing. It's extremely expensive, as I already mentioned. It's the most expensive of any of them on the list by far, by a huge margin. It's concerning pay structure. Concerning company structure, someone theoretically could take advantage of them pretty easily. I'm definitely not going to tell you how to do that. I'm not going to do that, but it is possible. So I don't want to cover that too much, but there's concerning for the longevity of the company if someone did want to take advantage of them. Again, I'm not going to do that. I do not endorse doing that, but it is possible. You basically must be an intraday trader to make any money with them at all. It's very confusing max lot sizes. So those max lot sizes, it was from a spreadsheet. So if you ever want to take a trade, you have to look at the spreadsheet and you want to find out how many maximum lots can I use for this pair. It's probably going to be different than what you think. Usually, most prop firms and brokers let you trade the most Euro USD with stuff. Not with this one. This one's actually a different one. It's very specific. It's very like down to the decimal to exactly what the max amount you can trade with it is. It's this spreadsheet. So if you do want to take this one, be sure to keep that spreadsheet open at all times whenever trading, so you don't ever go over your max limit and you end up losing the entire account that it was so expensive. So again, this is going to be it for my list of the 7 prop firms that I would say I can recommend the least. So again, everything in this video is just my opinion. You're more than welcome to have different opinions. People make money with all 7 of these, so that I'm not trying to say that any of them is necessarily a scam, but I just can't recommend any of them personally. With that being said, if you do want help with any of the ones in this video or other ones, or with your own personal account, check out vbsacademy.com. It'll be on the screen right now. That will be the best place for you to go if you want to become a better trader and also get access to amazing signals, as well as a course and membership, as well as a great community and so many other features that will help you become the best trader as you can possibly become. So again, check that out. Be sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to do that. Hit the bell notification, and I'll see you guys in the next video.